So, what does Bill Gates, Alicia Keys, and former President William McKinley have in common? Well, I'm going to let you think about it for a minute while I go get a drink, and then I'm going to give you the answer.
I wanna see where the sun goes at night. Oh. And I wonder if it really feels
Dean, how's your day so far?
Good, how are you?
Do you have any fun plans for your weekend?
Coachella.
like
Got my Starbucks. If I was in Europe right now, this would not be happening. This is definitely an American thing. I do see a lot of Starbucks popping up in Munich and Berlin in the past few years. And honestly, I just don't get it because Germany has amazing coffee shops. Like literally, it's amazing. And compared to Starbucks, I just don't get it. Well, I do get it. I would think it's mainly for the tourists, but I never crave Starbucks. This is literally my first Starbucks in probably 3 years. An almond milk latte with one pump of vanilla, and it tastes amazing. It's more like a milkshake than actually a coffee. So if I knew back then what I know now, I would have never ever have gone to university and spent 4 years of my life. Bill Gates, Alicia Keys, and William McKinley, they don't have a 4-year degree. They never went to university. And they are all from various different backgrounds and different careers. And they were all three successful. So in this video, I'm going to explain why, if I could go back in time, I would never go to university. And also why there is this noise for the past few years that the university system here in the USA is basically a big business. It's a huge money-making business.
I won't sleep, don't you know?
Growing up in the USA, going to college or university was and is a must for most families. But I have a feeling this is now how it is in most of the other countries. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But when I'm in Germany, the way I see the German education system, it seems a bit more profession-centric, career-centric, perhaps. In the USA, kids get programmed. I know I was programmed from the very beginning that you just had to go to university. And if you didn't go to university, your teachers, your counselors, even your peers are like, what the fuck, why wouldn't you go to university? It's like that was like the only option, only viable option. For the most part, a lot of people go to university here in the USA just to go to the university. It's like a big prestigious thing, and it's like a must, and it's kind of ingrained in your head at a very young age. Especially if you are a child of an immigrant like me. Your parents came to America, and there's no way in hell that you can let them down by not going to a uni. But that was then, and now is now. Is it even relevant going to a university? Was it even relevant back then? But I think the answer to that question is yes and no, and I'll explain in a little bit. Out of all the students in my university graduating class, there are only 4 that I know that actually worked in the field of our study. I was one of them, and then I changed my profession after 2 years of working in the profession, so that leaves basically 3. 2 of which are still living at home with their parents because they could never afford to buy their own place. And all of this is after earning a 4-year degree at a university. A 2019 survey showed that only 27% of the people graduating from a university actually work in their own respective professions. Now, I think that's pretty fucked up considering the amount of current outstanding student loans that are in the USA today. As of 2022, it's over $1.7 trillion, 1.749 to be exact. So is this very expensive education worth it? There's this general thought in the USA that in order to succeed financially, a college or a university degree is a must. Well, some of the numbers tell a different story. There are 582 million entrepreneurs globally today, and 800,000 of them reside here in the USA. And only 44% of the entrepreneurs have a university degree. There are currently over 43 million people that have outstanding student loans. Here's the average debt that a student will incur based on the level of education here in the USA today. This is the average debt, not the cost, because the cost is much, much higher. So for a bachelor's degree, the average debt currently is $28,950. For a graduate school loan debt, it would be $71,000. For law school, it's $145,500. For a master's of business administration, it's $66,300. For medical school, it's $201,000. Dental school is $292,000. That's pretty crazy. And for pharmacy, it's $179,000. So hopefully you get my point here, is that the education here in the USA is ridiculously expensive. So now if you take all of the student debt and the number of the individuals that have student loans and average it out across the board, the average loan debt per student is roughly around $41,000. So if you take that number and you do the math and multiply it by 43 million people, that's how you get the current student loan debt to be over $1.7 trillion. I mean, that is pretty fucking crazy. Going back to my question though, is this very expensive education worth it? Well, I think this is a loaded question because there's just too many variables. The answer is not black and white. In my personal case and my personal experience, it was definitely not worth it. And if I could go back and change this, I would. But there are certain professions, in my belief, that benefit or need this controlled and structured education, like med school or law school, nursing school, engineering, so professions like that. Education is obviously, it's important. It's literally the most important and essential element of growing, opening your mind, learning about the world, and living basically a fulfilling life. But this education doesn't necessarily come from a university. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make in this video. In fact, I think for me, going to a university, it kind of, now that I look back, it limited me. So the question is, why did I stay? Well, for one, university was fun. And second, a part of me bought into the fear of not having a university degree in order to be successful. This is how I was programmed, just like most of the kids here in the USA. Well, I graduated and then went to work for Sony Pictures. Only 4 of us in the entire graduating class landed a paying job within the industry. I didn't get the job at Sony Pictures because of my degree. I got it because I knew someone that was working at Sony Pictures. After 2 years of answering phone calls, putting together press cuts, organizing marketing materials for films, picking up dry cleaning for my boss, getting him coffee, etc., I finally threw in the towel and I said, I fucking quit. I realized my university degree was all lies. It was all lies that were fed to me since I was a kid, and it was all just bullshit. I left my professional job where I was making just enough money to pay my bills. I changed my career and took a class in enterprise software, and I landed my first job in IT quickly. And then within that first year, I learned more than I ever did in a 4-year university degree. After the first year, I became an independent IT consultant and I was making more money than I could ever dream of. Nothing prepares you for the real world. No one teaches you how to manage your finances, about investments, about building security, about being creative. Instead, you get put into a box, and if you don't fit into this box, you fail. And if you fail, you're trained to believe that you will fail in life. And just to point out that a lot of the jobs these days do not require a university degree. So there is word out there now, a lot of people believe that college or university is basically a big business, that it's basically a huge lie, especially these days. Tuition hikes, business of selling books, federal loans, private loans, on-campus housing, off-campus housing. It's a big business, and many are benefiting off of the students. And also, let's not forget the admission scandals where universities were caught accepting ridiculous amounts of bribes in order to admit wealthy students. So if you're watching from the USA, please let me know your thoughts, because my personal experience and thoughts on this is it's definitely not necessary. If you wanted to be successful financially, you don't need a college degree. Now, if you wanted to study for just personal gain, and if you like being a student, I think that's a completely different ballgame, and I respect that, and I think anyone should really do what they want to do. So these are the thoughts that I wanted to share with you guys today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
I won't sleep, don't you know?